From Sergio Perez outperforming him in Red Bull as the king of street circuits to the Dutchman becoming his own worst enemy, here's why Max Verstappen's title is under threat. I gotta admit, it seems like the two-time champion is gonna be dethroned sooner or later, especially since some of the best drivers in F1 are already lined up as the biggest threat for him. For starters, he's already got Perez breathing down his neck, who's also racing with him in Red Bull, and can easily outperform the Dutchman on good days. Why? Well, Perez is the one with better tire management, and let's not forget, he's also the king of street circuits. And with Formula One adding a lot more street circuits, Perez might end up having the competitive edge. To top it off, he's also at risk of being thrown out by Red Bull in Verstappen's F1 title fight. So that's just going to make the competition even more fierce because if you ask me, Perez will need to play dirty if he wants to overtake Verstappen in 2023, even if it gets him thrown out of Red Bull. And I'm not the only one saying that. Even Johnny Herbert agreed that Verstappen hasn't had a challenger in his own team, and Perez seems to be the only one who's able to match the Dutchman throughout the season, leading to the first closely fought title race between teammates since 2016. That said, he's not the only one out there trying to steal Verstappen's thunder. If anything, Fernando Alonso is in his 40s, which means he's got tons of experience. I mean, you might underestimate him because of his age, but it's pretty obvious in the 2023 season that even in his 40s, he's got incredible racecraft. And if you ask me, all he needs is a competitive car from Aston Martin and you'll see him swooping in for Grand Prix victories. He might even end up taking the championship title. I'm not trying to get ahead of myself, but he's got a lot of experience of winning Grand Prix, so this shouldn't be that big of a deal for him, especially if he had Verstappen's car. All I'm saying is, it's not about the driver, but more about the resources he's got at Aston Martin. And despite all of that, he even threatened the Dutchman, hoping that his inconsistent starting was going to give the Aston Martin driver a chance to dislodge the pole sitter. Although Verstappen ended up defying rain and Fernando's threat with an impressive victory, so maybe it didn't work out after all. That said, I still wouldn't cut his name off the list of competitors, especially since he's right after Red Bull in the championship rankings for 2023. But wait, are we forgetting Verstappen's biggest rival? Lewis Hamilton ended up facing his first winless season thanks to the Dutchman in 2022. Not to mention, it all started right after the controversial win in the 2021 season finale in Abu Dhabi. That had fans glued to the edge of their seats, and Verstappen swooping in last minute for the biggest win of his Formula One career, allegedly robbing Hamilton of his record-breaking 8th World Championship. But that doesn't mean he forgot what he needs to do. Sure, jumping back into the grid for a disappointing season in 2022 wasn't what fans expected, but Verstappen became a two-time world champion, only to target his third in 2023. Hasn't been easy on Hamilton either, who's on the verge of retirement. That's right, even after Daniel Ricciardo was gearing up after the McLaren axe, Mercedes reached out to him with a reserve driver role on the team. And rumor has it, he was supposed to replace the 7-time world champion after his contract ended in 2023. But as soon as the news made headlines, Hamilton stepped in to announce that he's not going anywhere anytime soon. Instead, he's looking at a multi-year contract with the team, which Toto Wolff later confirmed. But even though there were seemingly endless rounds of negotiations, it seemed like it never worked out. With half of the 2023 season gone by and no news of Hamilton's future in the team, on the other hand, Hamilton confirmed multiple times that he's not retiring and is instead gearing up for a record-breaking 8th World Championship title. And even though his performance after the controversial 2021 win hasn't been his best, let's not forget the incredible seasons he's given us. If you ask me, all he needs is to sort out his future at Mercedes and whip up his final contract, so he can get his head back in the game. Because whatever happened in 2022, it doesn't change the fact that there's no one like Lewis Hamilton in Formula One. And once he gets his game back on, he can be fierce and absolutely unpredictable. which can easily turn the tables for the Dutchman. In fact, I'd even go as far as saying that the only reason Verstappen's in the spotlight is because Hamilton doesn't have the right car for him to establish his dominance again. Once he gets there, it's over for the Red Bull driver. But until that happens, maybe Verstappen can focus on Carlos Sainz instead. Now, here's the thing about Sainz. He started adapting to Ferrari pretty well, even better than I expected. Meanwhile, Charles Leclerc is having the worst time of his life with the team, which is why fans are expecting his exit sooner than later. I mean, he's pretty frustrated as it is, and he can't show his full potential because of the car's limitations, so that makes Sainz the #1 driver on the team unless someone else more experienced comes along to overpower him. Sure, all he needs is some more consistency, but he's definitely getting there. And if you ask him, he believes the lack of pressure is exactly why Verstappen's been able to perform his best and be so dominant. While other teams are desperately trying to catch up with Red Bull and Leclerc's left trying to get the best out of an underperforming car, which definitely ruined the 2023 season for him. But it seems like Sainz is taking advantage of Leclerc's frustration to replace his dominance in Ferrari and become the driver to watch out for, even if it's in 2024. Either way, Verstappen needs to look out for the Ferrari driver and also George Russell. Sure, he might be new to Mercedes and already paired up with Verstappen's biggest rival, the 7-time world champion, but that means there's a lot more pressure to begin with, and if you ask me, Russell seems to have gotten the hang of it. I mean, take the 2 seasons for example. He's already matching Hamilton and even ended up beating him in 2022, swooping in with the first Grand Prix victory of his F1 career. To top it all off, he's super consistent, which is exactly what helped him gain his team's trust and establish his dominance. Honestly, if he wasn't paired up with a legendary driver like Hamilton, he would have already made his way to one of the top drivers by now. Because he's already shown the F1 community how fast he is and that he knows how to tackle competition, whether it's on his team or someone else on the grid. At this point, I'd even go as far as saying all he needs is a winning car, and he's got a great chance of taking the championship title. And while he's also the one to beat, let's not forget that Verstappen might be his own worst enemy. Just think about it. If he didn't have a winning car that looks like it came straight out of a movie, do you think he'd be winning 2 championship titles back-to-back and gearing up for a 3rd one in 2023? Probably not. I mean, I'm not underestimating the Red Bull driver, but with Sergio dominating the street circuits and Verstappen's fiery temperaments, he's been the center of controversy for a reason. And the 2023 Azerbaijan Grand Prix was enough to say everything about it. You see, with a 3rd consecutive world title on the line, his temper boiled over when Russell aggressively passed him on lap 1 of the sprint race, which had the Dutchman losing out on performance and Leclerc overtaking him, leaving Verstappen in 3rd. And sure, he still got his shot at the championship title, but missing out on valuable points wasn't an option for him, which is why he confronted the Mercedes driver with a revengeful warning. I gotta say, with all the incredible victories and championship titles, the fame and dominance might be getting to his head. Not only was he a terrible team player, but now he's also creating rivalries in other teams, forgetting that he's not going to win championship titles all by himself out there. Yes, Verstappen has always been controversial, but maybe he needs to tone it down a bit now, especially when he's gearing up for his 3rd championship title. So there you have it, from Dutchman becoming his own worst enemy to Sergio Perez outperforming him in Red Bull as the king of street circuits. That was all on why Max Verstappen's title was under threat.